This conference will now be recorded.
There you are.
I'd like to call the regular council meeting for August 16th, 2021 to order at 6:56 PM. You guys should stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, one nation, States of America, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Don't let me lead that anymore. This was gonna go quick. Have any additions or corrections to the agenda tonight?
I have none.
Guys good? So I'm gonna make a motion to approve it.
I'll move to accept the agenda as written.
Second. Counselor Williams, second. Stephanie, call roll.
Counselor Webb?
Aye.
Counselor Allen?
Aye.
Norman?
Aye.
Counselor Williams? Motion carried.
Presentations, none? Okay. Mayor's report, the mayor is absent tonight. We'll just move right into while we're all here, citizens of the month. So I didn't write a big speech. I had two great citizens of this town that really need recognition on my mind for this one. But as I went down to the Logan Show Sunday, it just hit me that it's time to recognize the folks that put this on this year. And especially during COVID, I think a lot of people chickened out with their events, and I was happy we moved forward even with the challenges that we're facing. I think we're going to face challenges for the next year or two anyway. So I was really happy that you folks put it on. Really appreciated it. I know the council does. I know the city, for the most part, I'm sure does. I know the town does. I've heard a lot of positive comments. They were really glad it happened this year. So I just put the other ones on back burner, and I thought it was appropriate that we thank you guys for all you do. I know it's not a fun job being a citizen volunteer, and then you hear the negative comments, well, it wasn't as good as last year or whatever, you know, so 99% of the people thought it was great. So thank you. And looks like we made it up to the Jamboree Committee. We got Roger Smith, Davia Smith, Nicole Sullivan, Candace Kenny, Gary Kenny, Jen Rao, Don Cherie. Did I pronounce that right? Okay. Bill Hawkins, Nicole Young. Which one's Nicole Young? Okay. Dolores Bellingham and Rob Cochran.
You getting a picture, Grant?
What?
Are you getting a picture too?
Oh, yeah. I thought you said you can't take a picture of
You guys can come right up here if you want.
Yeah, stand up.
You can come up my chair if you want.
Be the photographer, Grant?
Well, no, we.
Okay.
Take a picture up there? No, that would be good. We won't be able to get you all in there. Okay. If you're all standing and held your certificate, that'd be wonderful. Big day, big day.
How's it?
Okay, everybody smile.
The Jamboree.
Great. Whoa, good job. Thank you. Smile.
Before you leave,
Yes.
so sometimes I heard that from Rob Wilson And he was, a lot of times Rob, he always finds the negative of things. He said, that was the best idea I've ever seen, that kid login show. He says, that was the greatest thing I've seen happen in this town.
Oh, and that's going to be a reoccurring thing.
Yes, and that was a real win.
Thank you.
Mike, we thank you also. We know how much you do for the Jamboree each year and Log and Show. We didn't get your name on here, but we've already given you Citizen of the Month.
Actually, I'm very happy to do it, but after all that work at the logging show, I now realize I have hamstrings. I never realized. But that was Jen's idea for the kids logging show.
I fill my in on everything and then I go to the meetings.
Yeah, everything I heard about the kids Log and Show sounds like that might be back again.
It'll be a reoccurring. We expected 30 people and there was over 80 participants.
Yes.
So
It was awesome.
it was overwhelming.
Oh, you're
For the first time.
so excited. You're so cute.
Oh, you should have heard the girls. They came right over to the information booth and just were gushing at how much fun they had.
We got to throw a hatchet.
Oh, yeah.
Who here has been on multiple years? I know these two, Jen,
Dolores has.
Candace.
Oh,
Rob is-
Rob stepped up this year, yeah, last minute, stand up with the bridge drivers.
Yeah. Good. Anybody ever recognized you before? Well, it's about time, wasn't it?
It's my pleasure. Getting too old for it, but
Well, hopefully we'll,
president for several years.
maybe we can get you guys' picture in the paper. You never know.
We got some good ones.
Anyway, thank you again and feel free to leave. You don't have to stay for this boring stuff, but you're welcome to stay if you want.
I'd like to add that this was one of the first years that nobody fell off the horse, and nobody got what. It was so perfect. The weather was so great.
And I heard it was a good show too. I heard that from a couple of people, so.
Great. Yeah, we had more spectators. And they stayed the whole time. They had no idea.
I would also like to thank the chair. I called him like 3 or 4 days before the Jamboree because I wasn't sure how to get a porta potty. And I asked him if he could get me one and he said it really wasn't possible at this time, but he got me on the webpage and he helped me and he made me feel good. Thank you. Did a good job.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
I was a guy out there spit shining those things. I couldn't believe it. They were really nice.
Also, came down to the arena and watched for at least a half hour and just sit with me. Awesome.
Good deal.
Nobody's ever done that before.
Good deal.
Sounds like a success.
Okay. All right, thank you guys.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody. Bye, Rob. Okay. Let me see if I can do this, glasses and everything here. Good Lord, goodness gracious. Okay, counselor committee meeting reports.
I do not have one.
I haven't been assigned yet.
Okay, I missed mine because there was a miscommunication if we were going to have it or not, but the only thing that come up during the cemetery meeting that the chair shared was they would like council to consider letting 1 or 2 high school students join the cemetery committee to get them used to government and also help spur some younger ideas and some younger people interested in government. So they asked that council would consider that. I don't know if we need to move on it tonight.
There's a way to do it. I'll have to look into it. I know we had an honorary member for the Parks Committee years ago. I'm not aware of an age requirement.
Yeah, I
They
think,
technically aren't an elector,
I
but I'll look into it and get back to you.
I think that's what they were talking about. I could forward you the email tomorrow.
I'll get into it or look into it and get back to you.
Yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd bring it up. So,
And then real quick, Donnie, you had mentioned that you don't have one. Lorna was the liaison for the airport committee. I don't know if you want to take on that one. They don't really meet very regularly.
once a year.
Scheduling one I'll have to get back to you on what date that is.
Okay.
They don't have a quorum right now, do they?
No, that's why there's a application on your agenda tonight.
They need somebody.
They need more people.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have anything, Counselor Webb? All right. Topics from the floor, audience. Anybody sign up?
Nope.
Anybody have anything on their chest? Might let you squeak it in. Okay. This is going to move fast. Consent agenda for acceptance. Consent agenda for approval. A, city council meeting minutes for July 17th. B, city council meeting minutes for July 26th. And C, city council meeting minutes for August 2nd. Page 1 through 9. Everybody get a chance to read them?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Any issues?
I make a motion that we accept them as presented.
Motion's been made. Second.
Second.
Counselor Norman, second. Call roll, please.
Counselor Williams,
Aye.
Counselor Norman,
Aye.
Counselor Allen,
Aye.
Counselor Webb,
Aye.
motion carried.
Unfinished business. Don't see anything on here, but anybody got anything they want to bring up?
You would have had to have added it to the agenda already.
Yeah,
for unfinished
Counselor Webb is spinning there thinking, so.
Nope.
Okay.
Finished business, no?
New business, staff report, work session schedule,
Okay, this staff report's brought to you by me,
page 10.
asking you guys to once again look at your calendars to schedule 2 work sessions. Both of these work sessions were previously scheduled, however, assorted counselors had conflicts. So I'm bringing it back to you guys to schedule them.
Yeah, one of them was the 26th after we said there wasn't one, and then it was scheduled in the paper, so.
One of them was the 23rd, and then one of them was the 18th. However, both are now canceled.
It was weird because I had the 26th and it was also printed in the paper for priorities.
I promise it was the 23rd. Or sorry, the priorities was the 18th.
Well, maybe that was a long time ago.
Priorities was the 23rd.
Okay, so which one do we want to do first?
So you're not here the week of the 23rd, right?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
gone.
that 23rd through 27th is
Yeah.
not a good week.
That's that.
What are we doing tomorrow night?
Can't do it that quick.
You can't do it that quick.
Which one are we doing first?
That's up to you guys.
No, but what meetings are we scheduling? Sorry, I was,
Oh, sorry, we're doing project priorities
right.
and we're doing downtown trees.
Well, the trees can push later into September, so let's probably do priorities first.
30th?
Monday the 30th. 6:30?
31st would work better for me
Yeah, that's fine with me.
because I get back from a late night.
Oh, okay.
Tuesday, 31st, priorities, 6:30.
Works for me. I can get it scheduled.
Pretty sure that'll work for Rick.
I think that's going to work for me. I'll have to confirm it, but I think that's good.
Okay.
And then I know we have a meeting on the 13th of September already,
Correct.
and the 6th and the 20th. There's a lot of other black checks done.
So in October, the 4th is a regular meeting. The 11th is your guys' quarterly meeting. And then the 18th is a regular meeting.
And I might have to skip the one September 20.
Okay. Do you guys want to wait to schedule that one till we get to next month?
Yeah, let's wait for for full council to schedule the next one.
Okay. And I'll check with Rick and get back to you ASAP about the.
I'll let you know tomorrow.
Okay, new business B, airport committee application, Robert Williams, page 11.
Okay, this one's also brought to you by me. Typically, there's a recommendation from the committee that comes with this. However, they're unable to meet because they don't have quorum. Or technically, they have 4 members. They tried to hold a meeting, but someone didn't show up, so here we are.
Is this a Robert Williams Jr.?
I have got a junior on it.
I read the application. I didn't have any issues with it.
I don't have any issues with it.
Looks good to me.
So
Can only the mayor appoint?
So since the mayor is not here to appoint, I recommend that you guys make a motion to appoint him to the committee.
I'll make a motion that the mayor appoint Robert Williams to the airport committee.
I'll second it.
Call roll, Steph.
Counselor Allen,
Aye.
Counselor Norman,
Aye.
Counselor Webb,
Aye.
Counselor Williams,
Aye.
motion carried. Can you restate for me, who seconded that?
Seconded it?
Counselor Williams?
Yes. Williams.
Business from the departments.
I didn't actually submit an official report this time. I did want to give you guys an update. Our calls for service for July, we had 214 calls for July. I haven't got August numbers yet. Jamboree was pretty uneventful. I think our biggest complaint was too many cops. That was a vast majority of them, actually. We did have some fight calls. It didn't develop into anything. Throughout the entire weekend, we wrote 1 criminal citation that I'm aware of. I haven't got any numbers from the state police yet, but I did not see them take anybody to jail. I know they did write an abundance of traffic citations, but I didn't see anybody go to jail. So overall, it was a very uneventful weekend for the most part.
Good. How much help did you get from the state police?
We ended up with 10 on Friday night additional, and I think there was 8 additional on Saturday night. And most of them were MRT from Oregon State Police. They came from all over the place. I want to say a couple of them were Medford area that came down. And the sheriff's office was up here off and on a little bit. They spent a couple hours some stuff up here. So at one point in time, there was probably 20 up here. Matter of a couple of hours, and then everybody kind of dispersed at that point. Primarily, it was the state police and our staff.
Yeah, I came home Friday just before dark and there was quite a few party lights going on. I guess that's one way to get people's attention.
You know, we leave those on all weekend.
You don't have to remember to turn it back on.
Discourages bad behavior.
Yeah, everything I heard, it was pretty well behaved jamboree, so.
It really was. I did not hear of any DUIs. Again, I haven't gotten any reports from the state police yet, and I know they were looking. But I know nobody went to jail over the weekend anyway for DUI or anything like that. So the biggest things I think were the fight calls, and the 1 criminal citation we wrote is one I've never seen written before. for covering vehicle windows with material not approved by the Oregon Department of Transportation.
Oh, my.
Which is a Class A misdemeanor. A lot of people don't know. Putting plastic over your windows is Class A misdemeanor.
Really?
So that's the first time I've actually ever seen that citation written. It's
They should go look
a
on,
lot of people for it, but I've never seen the citation.
she cruised down 33rd in Portland.
That was the biggest thing.
Wow. Well, I'd call that a success then.
It was. I was happy with its turnout. I mean, other than the extra long hours. No issues with baseball team. There was a question about the camping behind Myers because I never did hear whether that got approved or not.
I think it got approved, so.
I didn't see anything official, but it wasn't a fight we wanted to take on at the moment, so.
I appreciate it.
Less than the amount of phone calls we got.
That's all I had,
Thank you.
other than the next thing I think is mine too.
Okay, moving on to ordinance and resolutions. A resolution 2021-15, a resolution of the city of Vernonia adopting rules and regulations for the Vernonia Memorial Cemetery and repealing resolution 2021-3, pages 12 through 38.
This one, I'll just continue presenting if that's okay. This one also in a way is coming to you from me through Ben. These are changes you guys already made a motion to approve that the cemetery committee had recommended a month or so back. So actually this resolution and the next one are just implementing those things, and they are in red in your packet so you can see those changes.
Yeah, I saw them. Looked like there was a word fix in there too that I probably wouldn't have caught for a long time.
Internment.
Yeah.
So you guys have really already done it. This is just officially putting it into our rules and the people.
Are you up to speed there?
Yes, I read it and checked it out.
Basically, I think it's just that second internment fee added in there, isn't it?
Yep. Well, this one is allowing a second internment. The next resolution is making said fee.
Got it. Anybody got any discussion?
I didn't see anything that looked out of line to me.
I didn't either.
Putting into place what we already kind of approved. So,
Anybody want to make a motion?
yeah, I'll make a motion. We adopt resolution 2021-15, a resolution of the city of Vernonia adopting rules and regulations for the Vernonia Memorial Cemetery and repealing resolution 2021-03.
I'll second.
Counselor Allen? Yeah, I'm doing the votes.
What's that? Oh,
Did you second it?
yeah.
Sorry, first this time. Counselor Allen?
Oh, okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Counselor Webb?
Aye.
Counselor Norman?
Aye.
Counselor Allen, or Williams?
Aye.
Motion carried.
You got ahead of me there. I was going to ask you to call roll. That's okay. Okay. Resolutions B, resolution 2021-16, a resolution providing adoption of the new and revised master fee schedule and rescinding resolution 2021-13, which was our last one not that long ago, right?
Haven't seen it.
So this will update our master fee schedule. Any discussion? Was that the only fee that increased, was just the addition of adding that second interment? I think it was.
Correct.
Yes.
Only thing I seen in red.
Go ahead again.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2021-16, a resolution providing for adoption of a new and revised master fee schedule, rescinding resolution 2021-13.
I'll second that.
Call roll, Stephanie?
Counselor Norman,
Aye.
Counselor Williams,
Aye.
Counselor Webb,
All right.
Counselor Allen,
Aye.
motion carried.
Ordinance and Resolution C, Resolution 2021-17, resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with Columbia County for law enforcement services, page 40 through 45.
So this one's from me, and as you guys are all aware, we've kind of been struggling a little bit to maintain a solid staffing level, and it seems like every time we get to a point where we think we're doing well, somebody leaves or something happens. And we've been struggling this way for years. Currently, we're about to be down 2 positions. The sheriff and I have talked on several occasions actually about how we can better help each other, how he can provide more services here. At this point, this is what we've come up with is trying to fund a half a position through the sheriff's office to supplement our coverage primarily when we're not here. And that's my biggest concern. I'd love to see their guys up here and running around, and that's why in the IGA you see that they'll make reasonable efforts to spend 10 hours a week within the city. That other 10 hours, I'd like to be a little bit flexible with. So if somebody does get sick or somebody is on vacation, that we're not burning up more time than we're paying for. So that's kind of where we're at. And this is kind of the best option at this point to provide adequate services within the city and make sure the calls are getting responded to appropriately. Ask the sheriff to come up just in case there are some internal questions that he should be answering other than myself as far as the services. That's kind of it in a nutshell.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
When I ran for this position, I said I wanted our city to be safe to raise your family and prosperous where you could find a job. And I recall several years ago, a young man bled to death because nobody could go in to help him, even though that the ambulances were in the vicinity. They couldn't go to his house because it wasn't secure yet. What are we going to do to make sure that never happens again?
That's not necessarily a promise that I could make that it wouldn't never happen again. I mean, as long as our financial situation is the way it is and we can't appropriately fund a 24-hour police department, there's always going to be a gap. And there's, whether it be a 10-minute gap or a 2-hour gap, you got one guy working out here at night, they end up in the jail. And if the jail's stacked up and there's people, they might be at the jail for 3 hours or 4 hours. And that provides a significant coverage gap for the city that nobody's here. And of course, I mean, if there's a major emergency, the sheriff's office is going to come, the state police is going to come, but you're never going to know where those guys are at. You might get lucky and they might be here, or they might be on Highway 30 and it's going to be a 30-minute response no matter what. So until we get to that level to where we always have somebody physically on duty and rolling around the streets, we can't prevent those things.
That is the goal, though.
That would be, the dream scenario of a department I'd like to see happen, but until tax revenues come up and there's more money to throw around, I don't see it in the foreseeable future without having some other resources or some other avenues to be able to backfill somewhere. Sheriff Bixley, you got it?
Yeah, so I met with the county commissioners on Wednesday this last week, and they assured me that I'll have another $60,000 to add to this position, which will get us up to a full FTE. The purpose, part of the reason that I wanted to do this is so that would give us the funding to actually station a Nahalem Valley deputy, a deputy that's assigned to this area. So that's going to be able to help Mike be more, I don't know,
Flexible.
yes, I guess be more flexible, yeah.
Yeah.
Or really be more effective. And that's just going to increase the partnership between the county and the city that much more. I truly believe this is the first step to helping this area being more safer and more prosperous.
Is that like from Chapman Road to the county line on the south,
You know, yes, essentially, yes.
basically?
Basically, yes. They're going to spend their time over the hill unless something bad happens over the hill. Their whole duty is going to be to come on duty and come out here and work this area. But that's always been my goal since I took office. I think I talked to JR about that when I was running for office. My goal for the county is to have someone touch all four corners of this county every day. And this is going to be one step closer for me to achieving that goal. And it's going to be one step closer to really having some mutual benefits for the city of Vernonia and for the county.
And another thing to keep in mind too, and you mentioned, a stabbing and somebody's significantly hurt like that. If somebody's on duty, they're going to go. I mean, but for the most part, if it's not safe for that officer to go running in there yet, they might be sitting there waiting for another cover officer to get there before they even approach the house. Having somebody stationed in the Nahalem Valley is going to increase that response. We'll be able to help them out and they'll be able to help us out. Vice versa.
So this is a partnership that'll really help realize that dream a little better.
I'm just thinking of our family. I'm thinking of like, somebody comes up and tries to steal his watermelons and shoots him.
Yes.
And he's in the bushes somewhere and he bleeds to death because he can't get in. That just breaks my heart.
Yeah. And like I said, this will give us, a second officer in the area. So if and when that bad thing, God forbid that bad thing ever happens, you're not going to have Mike or Sean or Dave or whoever else is out here by themselves. That's going to give them at least for, 10 to 12 hours a day. It's going to give them another option, backup, so we can get in there and make sure it's safer, quicker. Yes, sir.
So a couple questions.
Probably more for you than.
So I see it's written in here in this agreement, at least 10 hours. So, but I heard something else there, of something about the other 10 hours. You're trying to be flexible, so to do coverage when
When we're on vacations, when somebody calls in sick, when there's a coverage gap, that somebody's available to respond to those calls.
and kind of what we were envisioning with our other officer before our half position. So, okay, wanted to make sure we flesh that out. So it is going to probably end up more than 10 hours a week for us in a roundabout way.
Well, I think that the first year, kind of being able to fish around a little bit and find out, it's going to give us a good test ground to know, okay, do we need more? Do we need to purchase more coverage because we're using way more of them than we ever thought? Or do we need less coverage? I doubt we're going to need less.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll ever come up, but I mean, this first year, I think kind of a pilot project, run it through. Sheriff and I'll sit down and figure out what our mutual needs are. And if we're spending too much money, maybe we have to increase it next year, or maybe we decrease it next year. Or maybe the city council decides they don't want to do it at all next year and they want me to hire 10 cops. We wishful.
Can I butt in here?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You're still talking. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was, so would that officer be stationed in the valley?
Yes, sir.
So they would be available for call if in an emergency situation. So that would be a benefit too, also of a faster response than our own officers coming in from out. It'd be closer, most likely.
Even if our guys are sitting at the jail waiting to get somebody into the jail, that deputy is still going to be up there somewhere.
Yeah. The question I had was on paragraph 5. It was talking about May 1st. Let's see.
We actually, before you dig too deep into that, financial says May 1st doesn't work and she wants it to be March 1st.
Yeah, that's what for the budget.
Yeah, so we were going to change all three of those May 1st dates to March 1st.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, that's actually the termination was where I was looking at it, but all for the budget. So I guess for our end, so it's prefaced, we got an officer leaving. The intention is probably to fill that position, correct?
Yeah, I think we probably need to have a workshop and discuss direction at this point. My first thought is, yes, I want to fill that position. I'd like to fill several positions, but at the same time, we need to be looking at what our budget will support and where we're going. I think that's something that we need to talk a little bit deeper on. Probably in a workshop setting to see where city council would like. I want some direction where you guys want me to go.
So if we're going to fill that position, so the money we're using is that halftime officer's pay. Has that issue been resolved?
No.
So how do we move forward if that's not resolved?
Without jumping into that too much, I think that will probably get resolved before there's any chance of us hiring at this point. I'm not going to want to move forward until that's done.
Okay.
I think that's important. That's an important closure piece. And
yes.
I think financially, that's the best option is to not fill until we have some closure there.
Yeah, I would be very reluctant to do that until that's finalized.
But okay, so to clarify, this joint position would be replacing the officer that currently resigned.
Yes.
The joint position, the money we're spending on it is in the fulfillment of the officer that resigned, not the issue we currently have going on.
Okay. So then we
we
wouldn't fill the next position until the other
Right.
closes, and
Right.
so you wouldn't be looking to immediately fill that position.
No, and even if I did, we're probably looking at 4 to 5 months in the hiring process. By the time backgrounds are all done and we accept applications and we do interviews and psychological and medical and all.
Hopefully you find someone that's already working and not needing an academy and.
So we're looking at months down the road. Even if I started today, we're looking at months down the road to fill that spot.
So hiring this halftime position, it's going to take some money from the funds, but we're going to be several months probably without an officer. So by the time we get to that point, because I think you're going to have to probably spend more to get something in this environment. So are you thinking that the 4 or 5 months it's going to take to get one, we could afford to get one for the rest of the budget season? Is that what you're thinking?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. If, again, I'd like to have deeper conversations about it. And maybe there's another path. But I think we all need to talk it out.
We've talked about a work session now with you for a while, so we probably should try to schedule that.
Mhm.
I have another question for Sheriff Pixley. So it'll be your officer, you're in charge, obviously. How's it going to work between you and Chief Connor on what days, and does he have to put in and then you say, okay, I can do it? I mean, sometimes it's last minute when someone calls in sick. So I'm just kind of curious how that's going to work. And then also I was reading about the billing cycle. Is there a not to exceed a certain amount for the year, or we got to get bills and then all of a sudden 9 months into it, we've hit our limit?
So I don't think Mike and I have ever actually talked about that, but typically how it works currently is Mike will send me a text or an email. Sorry, Chief Connor will send me a text or an email that says, we need some help on these days. And then he says, can you guys help out or not? And I say yes or no. I don't think he ever says no.
And I think it works fairly well for the most part, so long as I'm able to give some notice. And even some of the short notice ones, like If it was today, I would call it, sometimes I just bypass Bixley and I call the sergeant on duty, go, hey, can you come to the city for a couple hours? Yeah, I'll do it.
But I think our 1 day a week would be pretty easy to predict, correct? That we would want them in town for the 10 hours. I mean, you have a,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Thing, right?
We could probably predict put some time out that far because right now I know exactly where the gap is.
right.
And I'm probably going to see more like 3 gaps.
And it's the other 10 hours that's really in question.
Yeah, the other 20. But yeah, those other 10 hours, I think would be best spent providing adequate time off for our staff.
Are we doing any swap time? The city comes out and helps in the county for a few hours. Are we doing any of that?
Pass that out. Wasn't that on your agenda? The IGA? The other IGA?
Yeah, Mike, I've been working on that for a couple of years. It got stalled out in my legal, but really Mike and I have been kind of doing a tit for tat thing for the last 2.5 years since I've been in office. Because I know that there are times where we can't get over there because we have things going on. And then Mike or another Vernonia officer will cover a city up or call up on Keezy or something for us. And then we do the same thing as we're available to do that.
I know we talked about that when you were running for sheriff. I just didn't know if we ever got anything really hammered out or.
The official IGA stalled with COVID and then with all the other stuff that she's been involved with. So
And that was the original service augmentation agreement that we had back, well, I think we signed it in 2014 originally back with Dickers. But that was an annual renewal. And we just kind of operated off of that, I think, for kind of playing by the same rules as the expired agreement. And we traded some services today, and Sergeant Thompson called me and said, hey, if you take this call out on Lone Pine Road, I'll take this other case out of Idaho for you. And I'm like, all right, take the other case out of Idaho and I'll send a guy out there.
Well, it makes sense if you can work together, right?
and all my guys know that, the patch on their arm says Columbia County, doesn't say any city, doesn't say anything else. So anything within the Columbia County borders is important for me. And it's important for them to make sure that they are providing as much service as they can provide. So if any of my guys ever told chief no, that'd be a conversation for me to be having with those guys. Because if we can all make that happen, there's no reason we shouldn't.
And yeah, so far in all the years that we've been doing this, there's never been a no. There's been a couple of times where we got 15 people on a search warrant and we can't break free. So, and we get that they're all busy and they couldn't come up for something, but we work it out.
Was it billing once a month? I'm sorry, I probably forgot. I know I read it, but.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Was it once a month?
I believe so. We actually, when we bill Clatsville, actually, I think this should be quarterly. Should be a quarterly billing. I'm not sure it specifies in here.
I thought it did. He agrees.
I believe monthly in here.
49.
I thought that's what I read.
That's what I read. What I read. Where it's at.
I don't know. You're right, monthly billing. You're correct, 3.4.
You want to change that to quarterly?
I would be more than happy to change that to quarterly because that's how we work with the city of Clatsville. We bill them quarterly for services.
That seems like a lot of paperwork.
Yeah. So if you're good with that,
Yeah,
I'll.
I'm good with that.
So that'd be one change that we'd want to note if we make a motion to approve this, right?
And the dates.
And then the other one was
Changing the May 1st.
the date, so we can talk about it before.
To March?
Yeah.
March 1.
And then Jill said, I didn't see anything in here about it coming to council. It just basically,
Coming to council.
the whole, are we going to redo this again? I think maybe it'd just probably be good to come to council. Hey, we like what's going on, talk about it. Let's move forward with it in the budget. But all it says in here, I think, is it up to the chief and the sheriff to renew.
Okay.
And I'm just thinking in the future, staff and stuff and counselors can change. I just wonder if it'd be more appropriate to make sure it comes back to council. It's working good. We move forward with another year.
Well, and are you signing or am I? So then in your motion, you would just say that you're authorizing me to sign, I'll bring it back to you annually.
I mean, I don't know what the other counselors were thinking. It kind of,
We're going to go through a budget process
We are.
and council's going to approve that budget process. And so
Perfect.
is this going to run on a fiscal year, July 1 fiscal year? So we could do our normal process and council's going to have a say.
They are, except as budget committee, they don't have a say if it's already coming to them.
you gotta,
So what JR is saying is he would like it to come to council in February that, hey, we're going to re-up. Any big hiccups in that?
Okay.
So a February or something date ahead of setting the whole budget together and dropping it in the budget committee's lap, because then you can't really, council should talk about it ahead
So
of.
if we're axing it and then it's in February and then March 1 is the date we got to notify.
Yeah, or he has to notify us if it doesn't work in his budget, so that we don't put it in there and keep working on it if it's not realistic. If something came up or changed. So
Okay.
you would just put it that you authorize me to sign it and you expect me to bring it forward to you annually, March, February or something. Get it in writing.
And for me, that works great because that gives me an opportunity to come and speak with you guys at least once a year. And we can talk together about what's working, what's not working, what we need to fix to make it work out better. So I actually really like that opportunity.
Good.
I have a couple of questions. They might be most appropriate for the workshop, but one, have we talked about a residency requirement for at least one of our officers?
We already,
And a second one would be, there are retired people, could we have a reserve force? Is there some way, like I said, I don't know if those are appropriate now or at the workshop, but those are the questions I got.
I tried to start an adequate reserve program. I budgeted for, I think, for 3 budget cycles in a row. We got very minimal interested people, and those that were interested at the time did not pass psychological or medicals. So that kind of ends everything at that point.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of money to spend on psychological and medical evaluation and time. So it was, I can't remember. I think I talked to council about it at one point about, we just need to take this out. This isn't working right now. And it might be something that we might be able to do in the future. Realistically though, reserve officers, generally they're coming in, they want to get some training. They want to be in this line of work, and then they're gone. So we're not likely to keep somebody very long in those positions. And we don't have a policy that's set up that would allow them to be used to cover shifts per se. They're always going to have to be with somebody. They're going to be cover, which it's great to have a second body in a car. I
Could be, yeah.
idea. But realistically, we're still going to have to pay somebody to do the work. So we can't backfill with anything.
and then the incentive, we have an incentive, not a requirement.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we have a residency incentive, but it's not a residency requirement at this point. And we talked about a residency requirement before, years ago. And it was going to be very difficult to say you must live here with the amount of wages that we're paying. And then we thought that's where we came up with, well, maybe if we pay them a little bit more money to live here, maybe they'll want to live here. And so far, the 5% wasn't enough.
might have to bump that up a little bit more.
I don't know if we could sustain it in the budget.
yeah,
And that's where we're at. I mean, I'd love to give all kinds of incentives to get people here, but if the money's not there, I just.
Well, Chief, the reason I'm thinking along those lines is I know what happens to our school when it snows. You have maybe half of the staff that can't get here. It paralyzes the school. You got to close down the school. In essence, the same thing happens to the city. If there's a significant snowstorm or ice storm, you guys are all at home. That means we got to find our bullets and pistols and
Not necessarily.
fight off the Indians.
oh my goodness.
Anything could happen.
But I mean,
It
realistically,
could happen, but I've been here now 17 years. and I've never, well, I lived here for part of it. But since I moved out of here, I've never not gotten here. Even in our worst of snowstorms, I've always been able to get here. A flood might be a little bit different. Those are a little bit more predictable though.
Right.
That they're coming, and I've spent nights sleeping in my office.
Yeah.
Knowing that, hey, we might get cut off, so I had to stay here. So we make it work. Also adding a residency requirement is going to reduce your applicant pool substantially. And right now, I mean, the last time I opened, I was lucky I got 3 applicants. That's basically coming from anywhere. I might get more now, because I think a lot of the people that are leaving the bigger cities kind of, if they want to be in law enforcement at all anymore, they want to work for smaller agencies like Columbia County. St. Helens did kind of hurt us a bit with their pay hikes, and to include the sheriff's office. They increased their salary substantially, but we're never going to be able to catch up with that. We're not even going to come close to what they're paying over there.
And if I can speak a little bit to the residency portion, it's because we have the contract for the city of Clatskanie. We have 2 deputies and a lieutenant that live in the city of Clatskanie. And those 2 deputies have asked, I don't want to be full-time in Clatskanie because it's hard to police where you live. I live in Scappoose, so I worked at Scappoose PD for almost a little over 4 years. And it was difficult because you don't really truly get any time off. Can't tell you how many times on my weekends or on my evenings or my mornings when I'm trying to sleep after graveyard shift, I'd get a knock on the door and, hey, I got this fix-it ticket. Will you come out and sign? It's like, I just got done working 14 hours. Can you just give me a few minutes, please? Or you're pulling someone over. I can't tell you how many feuds I caused my neighborhood because I wrote their daughter or son or wife or husband a citation for running a stop sign or for speeding. So kind of those things are difficult to deal with when you're policing the community that you live in. I know it's a great opportunity for the right person, but it's difficult to sell that in today's world, I think.
That was the exact reason why I left here, is because I either had to leave during my time off because I couldn't stay home. Otherwise, I never got time off. Or I just had to be on duty all the time. And it didn't help matters that I lived right here in the city. Police car parked out in front of the house all the time. And I don't mind the open door so much, but when it starts really cutting into your family time and you're always working, it does become a stressor.
Well, I can sympathize with that because when I was called to be the pastor at the Evangelical Church back in '94, the parsonage was right next door. And they said, do you want to live in the parsonage? And I said, no. Right. It's too close to the office door. I mean, it's less than a minute. So, I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm sympathetic to all of these crazy things.
And I can tell you another added bonus to an augmentation agreement like this is, so we've seen it work in Clatskanie, is the whole goal is to stop the crime before it hits the city limits. Right? When we have the Nahum deputy out here, Nahum Valley deputy out here stationed out here, he's going to be patrolling the outskirts of Vernonia when he's not taking calls in the city. And that's going to help combat the car clouds or the burglars or the other people before they get into the city. They're going to be met kind of outside in the county, which is kind of our goal, is just keep pushing people out until we get the county line.
I just had another crazy question. I know of one officer who, I think he's a policeman in Gresham or something, lives out on Stony Point.
Okay.
Are there any other officers in town that if in a real emergency that we can get them?
There's 3. There's a couple of deputies in HPD. And I don't know if the Gresham guy's still out here. But yeah, they live, I don't think any of them live directly right here in the city. But unless we come up with some sort of mutual aid agreement with these other agencies to be able to use them.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
So
It's a nightmare.
Insurance?
Yeah.
One of my best friends actually is a canine deputy for Clackamas County, and he lives in Warren. And there for a while, he would just kind of, whenever there was a call, we needed a dog track, I just got on the phone and called Sam. He's in the area, he'd come out, he'd pop out. But he's quickly got in trouble for that. It's incurring overtime, it's incurring because it's a union position, so we can incur overtime, plus insurance, plus all these other litany of things that we didn't think about. So now we had, in order for us to utilize him, we have to call him, he has to call his supervisor has to call the lieutenant. And this all takes a lot of time. And sometimes he's able to play, sometimes he's not. So it's, even if you have, I guess what I'm trying to say is even if you have other officers from other jurisdictions living here, you're going to be hard pressed to utilize them from the house for a call. Now, if they happen to be in the grocery store and an active shooter pops up and they're armed, that's a different story. But in their professional, official capacity, it's going to be difficult to get them out.
If we have an earthquake and we have a big hole in the city, and they can come out and help at that point, but they're still going to run that through their supervisors, most likely. Their supervisors aren't going to want them coming out here and getting hurt, and now they've got an officer injured or something. Now they can't work. Now they're down a body. So,
yeah. We actually experienced that when there was a officer-involved shooting in Rainier. I don't know if you guys remember this, probably 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. Officer George got shot in the hand, and his reserve was actually one of my employees. We had a reserve riding with him, and she worked in my jail. She was a patrol tech in my jail. So being she was involved in that officer-involved shooting, we lost her. We couldn't have her at the job until she was cleared by the DA's office. And that took, I believe, 3 months before we were able to actually get her back. That's just in a civilian position in the jail.
I had another crazy thought. Would it be possible somehow to work through the fire department and have someone local who is authorized to carry a weapon that could go in and secure an area? And not have it be the police department, but have it be?
I would be hard pressed to do that.
Can't do that?
I think you probably could, but that's going to incur a lot of liability for the city. And a lot of training, because you're going to have to provide them firearms training probably as often as Mike trains his officers. You have to provide them gun, ammo, and then if there's body armor, there's some sort of negligent discharge, that's going to come back in the city. I don't know who it is, but you're playing devil's advocate. He goes out and gets drunk one night, fires a round up in the air. Suddenly, who knows where that's going to land? And that's going to incur a lot more liability for the city.
Yeah.
So.
Got to explore everything.
You do, 100%. I'd actually toyed with that during my campaign with schools, right? Okay, well, I look into what it would take to arm, 3, 4, half dozen teachers at a school. And then they could train with my firearms guys and provide them everything we needed to. But then my county council's like, oh, pump the brakes there, Junior. Let's talk about this for a minute. And it ended up not happening.
20 years ago, we probably could have got away with some of that stuff. 20, 25 years ago.
I know you did.
The rules they're changing almost daily for us out here.
Oh, yeah.
They're changing so rapidly, and most of the time the rule changes are not positive in our world.
Oh.
They're not helping us maintain staff. They're not helping us keep anybody any safer. Oftentimes they're hindering our ability to capture people.
Oftentimes they're legislating mandates that's going to cost the city and the county money, but they're not willing to pipe in to backfill any of that money. So then we have to, all of a sudden, we lose an FTE because we have to provide all this additional training to our officers. And whereas the hell all that's doing is really, it's a knee-jerk reaction to some unfortunate incident that happened. And that's ultimately hurting public safety in these small cities, these small counties because of that. I can tell you, I just got a legislative update for the last year and a half worth of legislators. I believe there are 87 pages worth. That's just the measures that affect law enforcement in the state of Oregon.
So are you going to require a residency requirement for the valley for this position?
Me, no.
You wouldn't require it?
I wouldn't. If I could find someone that lives out here, great. But also, like right now, I have a lateral officer waiting to be hired by me. So he doesn't live here, he lives in St. Helens. But that would mean that I would be able to hire him on, assuming he passed psych and medical, I'd be able to hire him on, put him through a 1 to 2 month field training, most likely, and get him on the ground within a couple of months.
So how fast would this get up and running if it was signed by Monday?
If it was sent that Monday, my goal would be having staff and running within the next month or two.
Oh, still 2 months out.
That's my goal. Like I said, we have a lateral that's already been through he's already interviewed. We just finished up his background. So all that's left is psych and medical. And if, as long as he passes those things, we can have him working really probably within the next 3 weeks. And then, like I said, a quick field training program to make sure he understands how the county operates and our policies and procedures and how to play within our rules. And then we'll kick him loose onto the street.
And that doesn't prevent us from still being able to utilize your staff, right?
Correct.
Your current full-time staff to backfill in the meantime. And that guy is the guy that will be assigned to the Nehalem Valley. So you probably won't see somebody assigned directly to the Nehalem Valley until that individual's trained up.
Yeah, so I was actually talking to my chief deputy today about what's this going to look like hypothetically if our lateral fails psych eval. And then we have to hire a brand new officer off the street, which luckily I have two deputies in jail that are also in the process. So I could move them over quicker, but it would take them longer training execs with the police academy, that sort of thing. I said, let's form a plan, a worst case scenario. So if that happens, how are we going to staff this? And so we kind of put in a haphazard plan, talk about haphazard plan for about an hour today, how we can make this how we can staff this sooner rather than later with existing deputies.
Do the state troopers factor in at all with us?
They come out here and play, yeah.
No, I mean, seriously.
No, they'll come out.
They on call for us if we need them?
No,
They'll come out if there's a fatal crash somewhere. They'll call somebody out from home, but no, they're not specifically on call for us. We use, if they're available, if we need help. I mean, I had a mental health issue going on down here one day, and I called and there just happened to be several available. So I got one trooper from St. Helens and I got two from North Plains. And that happens pretty quick. But if they're not on duty and available, they're not going to call somebody out for us to come help unless there's a fatal crash or something like that. And that's their primary responsibility, is traffic related issues.
Right.
And primarily the highways, not the cities.
and I can tell you if OSP is not on duty, they're usually trying to get us to call someone up before they do.
Yeah, and they do that to us. It's not regular.
It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, Sheriff,
Questions I had, he's already answered, so I got covered with everybody else's questions.
Sometimes it works out well that way.
Sheriff, if we partner up,
Mhm.
how are you going to handle the issue of poaching?
Poaching.
Poaching our people to.
Oh. I plan on poaching. And I'm going to handle that issue.
Partnered up two largest companies in Portland for construction, and we have a clause. There's no poaching, and if you quit, you can't go to work for the other one for 1 year.
Yeah, I don't know. I think out here in Columbia County, I think, once again, that would be a detriment to public safety, because if we have a Columbia County cop, whether it's the sheriff's office, Vernonia, St. Helens, if they quit working for me and they go to work for St. Helens, which has happened before, I don't have any heartburn with that, because that's still a trained resource for Columbia County residents to utilize. So even if I poach one of your guys, or you guys poach one of my guys, that's still a resource, a law enforcement resource for Columbia County that's been trained in Columbia County, and they still keep Columbia County residents safe, whether that's in Vernonia, Columbia County, Scappoose, St. Helens, or Rainier.
I understand what you're saying, but you got to understand, us four sitting up here, if you poach one of our people, it's not going to go well next February to resign.
Copy that.
I'm just stating it right now, it's going to be. It'd be the same way if we had a deal with you and we were stealing your people, you wouldn't be too happy about it. Train and.
Well, as much as it stinks when that happens, and I absolutely hate it, and we have to start over from scratch when things like that do happen. If the person doesn't want to work here,
Right.
it really makes it miserable for me to try to supervise those people.
Well, we all understand that, but there's ways of discouraging Vernonia going to the
sure.
sheriff's department.
And there's state law that mandates that there's anti-poaching ORS. which are you?
We've taken advantage of it.
Person
We've
you guys
gotten
are
paid
familiar
back.
with that.
You gotta pay us back if they poach them too quick.
Yeah.
Within 3 years.
Yeah.
So, but Mike's absolutely right. If you have an officer that doesn't want to work here,
Right.
you know, would you rather him work at another agency in Columbia County, or would you rather him go over the hill to Washington County?
Right.
I'd rather them get the hell out of the county then.
Oh, you're hardcore.
No, I mean, I really hope this works out.
So do I.
I do. But if we keep losing more people, it's not going to make us feel all warm and fuzzy. That's what I'm trying to say.
I can relate to that, sir.
You know,
I got one more question. So obviously, if we get this up going here immediately or within the next month or two, our gap is probably pretty well known and what we're going to need some coverage for then. But once we get that third officer back on board here, fourth. No, fourth. Then, you know, we really struggle with that nighttime gap a lot of times, or at least that's the perception. I think that's when a lot of that prowling stuff's going on. I don't know if you would, I'm trying to envision how you're going to task that deputy.
So right now, our deputies actually kind of work an odd schedule. We work 10-hour and 40-minute shifts. What that equals, the reason we do that is because that gives us 2 overlap shift days per month. Every other Thursday and every other Friday is actually an all hands on deck for the sheriff's office, so we're able to get special projects done. So the position out here, I'd have to confer with Mike, but if the need is night shift, then they'll probably work a 2 p.m. to midnight shift, or 4 to probably 2 p.m. to midnight shift is what I would envision.
And that'll be
Midnight
definitely, the need will be a night shift position.
So
You're not going to work nights, chief?
I'm done working nights. I'll come out after dark if I need to, but to do it on a full-time basis, I did 20 years of that already.
that's when all the fun happens.
Yeah, not as fun anymore.
as you get old,
I'm usually the grumpy guy that comes out at 3 o'clock in the morning that if my phone rings, somebody's probably going to jail.
yes.
You should have seen Fred Oviatt years ago. He'd come out 3 a.m, put his clothes on, come out, and he'd almost beg somebody not to cuss him out so he could go back to sleep and not take him to jail.
Yeah, I'm with Mike. If my phone rings at 3 o'clock in the morning, someone's going to the bucket if I can arrange that.
If you can find the-
If it's raining real hard and I have to get out of the car, you're probably going to jail.
Yeah, or you get the citation, yeah.
I'm tired and mad, huh?
Yeah.
You flunk the attitude test before you even get to it.
So I think this would be a great partnership and a great way to dip our toe in the pool to get the relationship going.
Can you back up just a little bit? You talked about Margaret and Henry
Casey.
and Casey giving you another
They
60,000?
gave me $60,000 to complete the other half of this position.
This one.
Oh,
Because it wasn't,
That's not the cost of a half-time officer for the sheriff's office.
No, halftime for us is significant. It's a little bit more than that. So, and that actually depends on what step we hire someone at. If we get a brand new recruit, then you're probably around that ballpark. Roll-up cost between $85,000 and $90,000. You hire up to a step 9, a full step. Say we get someone that comes in with 10 years of experience and we top them out in our steps, and you're probably talking closer to $180,000 roll-up cost.
you should go back to them and tell them you need another $100,000 COVID money for all the extra crime.
Trust me, I'm trying that. I actually ran all the numbers and figured out that over the last 2 years, we're seeing a 1% increase in violent crimes in Columbia County. And I'm trying to utilize some of that COVID money. But I've not made the short list so far, so I have to go back and I heard that today, actually. It really kind of ticked me off. So I have to go back and do some tough love, I guess.
Bring the news media with you next time.
So my overarching goal, and what I've been very clear with the commissioners on, is I want to get 8 additional deputies. They gave me 2 this year and they pulled 1. So I got 1 from them. If I'm able to put this together, then that'll be 6 more. What that's going to allow me to do is something that I don't think we've ever had here in Columbia County.
You'll be up to 14, 15?
Which is 24/7 coverage in the county.
Oh.
And it'll also give me a second detective.
What?
detective.
Oh,
So that's my goal. Years ago, when I worked in the jail, probably early 2000s, then Sheriff Derby actually had a company come in and did a cost study of how many deputies that we needed to be considered fully staffed. Mind you, this is back in 04, 05, but the number back then came out to, I believe it was between 30 and 32 deputies. So they asked me if I need that. I said, realistically, no. If you want to give it to me, I'm never going to say no. But realistically, if I can get up to 18 to 20, I'm going to be fat, dumb, and happy.
well, you should be over there start groundbreaking on that bio plant then.
Right? Oh, trust me, I'm already floating some ideas by the commissioners on how that can benefit the sheriff's office.
50 cents a barrel for public safety.
Every time so I get on their agenda about once every couple of months, to talk about more money. And when my name pops up, you can hear it like it. Because I have a presentation I give them, like I said, every couple of months. I tell them it's Columbia County as a whole is about 657 square miles. That's 657 square miles. There are 17.1 square miles of city jurisdictions. In those 17.1 miles of city jurisdictions, there are 40 police officers. In the other 630 some miles, the county funds between 6 and 8 deputies. So, and the rest of the county population is about equal to the population of all the cities combined. So really, where's the equity in that? But they don't like me. They don't like to hear me. I'm pushing hard, and I think when Casey was elected, I invited him over for lunch, and we sat and talked about, I wanted to kind of feel him out to see where he was. And he's actually been very supportive of the sheriff's office. Him and I have had several brainstorming sessions where we're trying to come up with outside the ways to fund additional deputies. One of those ways is we are actually in talks with the Port of Columbia County to possibly fund a position or a position and a half. And we're trying to get more bodies without creating additional tax liability for the county constituents. It's nice to be able to have a commissioner, someone who actually has a vote and how much money I get to be able to essentially be a partner in those conversations. That kind of gets me in on the ground floor and gets me over at least one hurdle.
How much involved are you in the pre-budget process?
For me, not much, actually.
You don't submit your own budget?
I write my own budget, that's it. Like this year, when I submitted my budget, I had to go out of town for a conference. And I got a call saying, yeah, just so you know, I know this is what you put in your budget, but yeah, we're going to pull this and this and this. I'm like, all right.
Budget committee for them, or is it the commissioners that do it?
So the commission, whoever is the budget commissioner does the first round of cuts. That's where I lost my one of my 2 positions. And then it goes to the budget committee after that.
And who is the budget commissioner this year?
This year was Commissioner Heinmuller. Next year, I believe, is going to be Commissioner Garrett. So I think that might figure out a little better for me.
Get to the second round at least.
Yes.
I think Henry's up for reelection soon.
He's up for reelection next May.
I have another question related to finances. It's $45,000 for 10 hours a week. That to me is like 1/4 of the year's wages, right? And that'd be 180,000 if it was a full-time person. Could you break down how much the officer gets and 180,000 seems like an awful lot for one police officer.
So that's an entry level position at halftime. We're only wanting them to spend 10 hours a week in the city, and the other 10 hours is spent covering other types of calls, whether it be emergency calls or covering vacation time.
So we're getting 20 hours.
20 hours, yes.
Up to 20 hours, yes.
20 hours, not 10.
It's 10 hours of dedicated, of as best we can, dedicated Vernonia coverage. And the other 10 hours, you might only have a deputy working 10 hours a week in the city for 3 months. And then we might have to come and staff vacations for 2 weeks straight or a month straight. So it's all, Mike and I plan on discussing with Mike to sit down and talk about those checks and balances. So I hope
Thank you for that clarification.
you're welcome.
That makes more sense.
I think the cost for a police officer, benefits and PERS and insurance is quite a bit
Yeah, so,
higher than a regular employee.
yeah, so it's like I said, a step one deputy roll-up cost, which includes all benefits and retirement, is about between $85,000 and $90,000 for us. Top step is about $880,000.
And then basically wages plus 50% for all the other costs.
At least. With PERS costs continuing to go up.
Yeah.
That just increases exponentially sometimes.
And depending on which stat there are for PERS,
Yes.
they're getting the good stuff.
What's PERS now for police, 11 cents a dollar?
I don't know what the new one is.
That come to like
I think they're
$86.
So
out of the city.
I stopped counting. It's hard to keep track of what the
By each time you get a car,
And what year they came in.
taxes.
It's like me, I came in, I started in 2003. So I got stuck in under the wire for tier 2. So
For everything.
Yes.
I got lucky, I guess. Because later in
Yeah,
2003 is when they cut off.
you're working at Walmart in 3 and 4. You gotta have a side gig as a retiree.
That's pretty much what I heard.
Supplies.
I've heard it called tier 1, tier 2, and tier sub.
Yeah, we've had some names like
That's what
that.
the guys and gals call it.
The coffee's.
Yes.
What do you guys think? Any more discussion on this subject? We
I'm
said,
thankful for more coverage.
besides adding in the
I'm grateful that.
the no poaching clause, should we have that in there?
Yeah. This has been something I've been trying to get going since I was elected. So I'm glad to see it finally potentially coming to fruition.
I'm not against it. I don't hear
Is
anything
that the way
really.
you want to put that?
No, I don't have any more that I need to talk about. If everybody's done, if somebody wants to make a motion, I'm happy to hear it.
So I have a motion if somebody wants me to propose one.
And then you could say so moved.
I have a motion if somebody wants to hear me propose one.
Oh, okay.
Based off your guys' discussion to make it easier for you.
All the changes noted.
Yep. So you'd be making a motion to approve resolution 2021-17 as titled and to authorize the city administrator to sign the IGA with the date changes to March 1st and to change billing to quarterly and to bring it back in February for review prior to budget.
I will so move.
I'll second it.
She's hired.
All right, Counselor Webb,
Aye.
Counselor Williams,
Aye.
Counselor Norman,
Aye.
Counselor Allen,
Aye, no poaching.
Was in the motion, sorry, sir.
We can change it tomorrow.
We gotta know our ass. Don't worry, we'll be watching for it.
I'll be here for at least one more year, so you'll have to.
Me too. Yes.
I might not have that long.
Oh.
Okay, I think we got a little bit more here to go.
You're not held captive there, Sheriff. If you
Yeah, if you wanna
For our,
paddle.
I'll hang for a little bit longer.
Okay.
This is actually kind of a fun group.
Correspondence. Anything, Stephanie?
So this is your Columbia County Economic Team. We just wanted you guys to get the annual report that we got. So it just kind of outlines what they've done in the last year and different projects.
Yes, I read it, as boring as it was,
Yes.
but there was some good information in there, but it gets a little long.
Right. Mhm.
It's a little long in the tooth, but I can see they're trying to do several different things there.
I was boning up on, for the quiz question. I figured, well, one of these numbers was going to be in the
And there was no trivia.
council trivia.
There was a test. It was just billing every 30 days and he flunked it.
Oh.
You know what? You're correct.
Packet trivia we play once in a while.
Yeah.
See
The
if
mayor
people actually read it.
fix something out of it to see if they've read it.
Well, if I would have known that, I would have come better prepared.
You could try that at your briefings. Everybody read this and then hit them with a trivia question.
We don't have enough people to have briefings.
Right into jail.
It's come on duty and go.
Okay, I've read the report. I didn't see any, we're not moving on, making a donation or none of that stuff. I just seen where
We
they,
already have our annual contribution.
dues. Okay. Did we make one this year also?
It's in the
I
budget.
know we voted on it 2 years ago for like 3,000 or something.
Yeah, I think it's 3,500 is our annual contribution.
Okay. Okay, 14, city administrators report.
So I don't have a written report because I just got off a plane from Vegas
And
and
you're here, so you didn't win.
I seen
I didn't win big. I won, but I didn't win big.
those crazy pictures of you.
You did see pictures of me?
They're all over Facebook. You didn't know they put them on?
Like,
We had pictures. I wasn't the crazy one in any of them.
your go.
Well, I wasn't the crazy one in any of them. I'm more aware than that, but,
They were saying, okay, no cameras.
So I don't have a ton to discuss with you, but I'm free to answer any questions or things that you guys have come up with. We're just trudging along with all the same projects that we were. Making sure we're finishing the Travel Oregon grant. They're finishing the trailhead tomorrow at Anderson Park. The county's gonna come and finish the other kiosk that's undone. I got emails while I was gone about that. And then I did get kind of a crazy email that we were one of 39 cities that hadn't followed these 4 documents that needed to go to the Department of Administrative Services for the ARPA money. There were 39 cities and they're like, well, DAS sent you an email. There has been reports that went to your spam folder. So I went to my spam folder on Friday night. Of course it was there. So I came into work at 10:30 at night to get the documents prepped so Angie could work on them this morning to get them sent in so that we're dealt with it. But I was like, if you knew it was going to people's spam folders, not an email to everyone's direct email that's from someone that wouldn't be spam. So she was working.
What was that document entailing?
Well, so we had to do basically all of our EIN numbers, our DUNS numbers, our annual budget, all the kind of city information. Then the mayor had us to sign 2 different documents saying we follow the 1964 Civil Rights Act. There was these different things that needed to be turned into them so that they could get us allocated. What's interesting though, is we were always seeing that 460 number. The list that they sent with the email says we're slated to get 506,
Don't argue with them.
right? Turn in the paperwork, keep trucking. So that's.
Oh, you hear that?
Did? I have a question. I noticed that the new Anderson Park signs, those boards weren't painted before the parking deal went up.
They're not painted.
Some paint?
No, everywhere else in the county, they're raw cedar. We've sealed ours because I've seen how they looked in the county and they fade gray really quick and then it just doesn't look as good as I wanted it to look. So we've sealed all of our boards. So they'll stay that cedar for as long as we can.
Blonde color.
Yeah. Mhm.
I just wondered because
Because it was that or let them weather and the weathering ones just, they don't pop as nice. And so I had,
that long either.
yeah, I had the county bring us the boards ahead of time and Public Works sealed them all. And then the county is picking up those sealed boards to finish that kiosk.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Is there any movement on the skate park?
No, so now Ms. Sears is not communicating with me.
Okay, we can move forward without her, right?
Yeah, so I did talk to, over Jamboree, I had a long conversation with Randy Holz at the American Legion Beer Garden. Did anyone go? It was great. Live music. Took the family there for a hamburger to support him and Randy was there. And so we sat down and talked about signage, all the issues, all of it.
That's what I'm mostly concerned about is we keep certain people.
Oh, no, he understands. He wants it to go as far as it can go. I'm still stuck on the prevailing wage thing, but Wendy had called and said that one of the gentlemen knew of a different way to do it. And when I responded back, hey, could we talk about what is that way? I'm getting no response.
What is Wendy's position on this exactly?
So she's really in charge of the skate money, the money they fundraise outside of Randy's money. Randy's money is under kind of the guises of the booster treasurer. So
Where's Wendy's money at?
under the boosters.
The boosters have it.
Boosters have it. Boosters have all of it.
Right.
Lisa Curry's the treasurer, and once we start spending Randy's money, we have a process where he's going to get monthly reports and kind of documentation for him to feel better about it. But Wendy is really the one that kind of oversees the specific money that came in under Vernonia Skate, right? The BSK8 or whatever. So I don't know what the deal is, but I'm going to try again.
One concern I have is she's going to march in here in a month or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 and say we lost the Tony Hawk Foundation because we didn't move fast enough. So that's my concern on that.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't happen, but.
That was 25,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know they got an extension, so.
Yeah.
That's probably the.
So I'm hoping to just keep trying to connect with her and get her to communicate what the other version was. I have one out of Tillamook. Ruben's still looking into how you get around the prevailing wage with other people's money, but it's the weird verbiage. It's like.
So they gave us a price per square foot, right? These contractors, 2 of them.
It shrinks it down if we have to pay prevailing wage.
But did they bid it for prevailing wage or is that?
No, so that's the problem is I'm setting up the bid and in the state of Oregon, if it's more than $250,000 and if the city has something to do with it, it triggers prevailing wage.
So make it.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to say the city's project is this $20,000 project, which is the money we're putting in, which is park amenities for the whole park, right? Lighting, but it's really around the skate park, but it's in our park.
Right.
And let them do their project on our property. I mean, I was even like, could we temporarily lease it to them, let them do it? And then the lease expires and it's our property. I'm trying to figure out a million ways to not pay someone that's a $17 an hour job, $45.
Pretty self-explanatory when you talk about just keeping it under 250, the contract amount.
But the reality is ultimately for the price and the square footage they want, it's going to be the bigger number. It's going to be, because we got 250 from Randy and they had 60. So it's like a 320 project, ultimately, money-wise. But I'll try to reconnect with her and just, I don't know what I have to do, but do whatever it takes to get her back talking to
You're
me.
the only one that you communicate.
She's the only one left from that group. Jeremy moved. JD was part of it, who owns Sun Tree Fabrics, but he's no longer part of it. So
Almost sounds like they need a skate park board with Randy on it and another citizen.
yeah, I don't know what Booster's requirement of them is because they're really under Boosters as the umbrella. So I could talk to Lisa and say, I mean, if I can try my damnedest to get her to communicate with me or yell at me or tell me whatever the problem is.
Yeah.
But then ultimately I could go to Lisa and just say, hey, as the holder of these funds, I'm not getting any communication with the person that ultimately we're trying to, I'm hoping Wendy, she was just mad and she'll talk.
She didn't look that mad to me.
Take her to pie.
She looked concerned about
Take her to pie.
the timeline, but I really think that trying to deal with one person might be the problem with, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It might be easier if it was
more people, more heads talking all the problems through.
weekly meeting for the next 2 months or something. I don't know. I mean, more heads are better than one. But anyway, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Oh, and the bricks. When are we going to start on that? Because your deadline's coming up.
Well, November's the deadline.
I think you said September 2nd. You want it all done.
September 2nd. So September 2nd is when the mural,
Oh,
half of it's having the mural festival.
okay. So no-
October 2nd is my internal goal to have it all done by Salmon Festival and invite them out when the town's kind of buzzing and people are out and about and see all the upgrades. November is their deadline. So we're trying to get it done a month ahead of their actual funding has to be spent deadline for travel organization.
trash cans look nice.
Yeah,
For
we still
jam.
have metal art to put on them. And then we have 6 more that are coming out and need to get planted and stuff. But yeah,
Makes a big difference. I look back at some pictures I took. I was like, ooh,
yeah.
it's nice to have
And
them.
then that's the other thing, traffic paint was backlogged like everything with some supply problem. But our goal is also to get gallons of the traffic paint and street sweep and try and get the businesses to at minimum paint their main street yellow areas. I don't know if any of you noticed ODOT coming to do the crosswalks the day after Jamboree was over.
I see.
We're like, because I called them and I said, are you doing crosswalks? Oh, no, we're not going to get to it with the chip seal. And they had all these reasons they weren't going to get to it. And then Monday after Jamboree, we're like, seriously? You couldn't have done it Thursday? Okay. So at least they did them though. They look okay. But yeah, hopefully we'll get kind of the downtown businesses to do whatever they can to freshen up the curb line, get the water, all that stuff. Should be pretty nice. And by then we'll have repositioned the banners to places that are less likely to get hit because we found there's some beverage trucks that are just constantly hitting them. So that's kind of the nice thing about the positioning of the hanging baskets is we can kind of redo the pattern and maybe avoid those places where those lower lying things will get hit less often. And then we'll have our fall banners up. And I've been talking to Means Nursery out of Scappoose for some kind of perennial things that will go in this season. Ultimately, they'll be annuals every year because those pop with the most color. So we'll have to hopefully I'm trying to work a relationship where we can either do it through the fair, which they do great hanging baskets as a fair thing. So maybe talking to them ahead of time, if we could, have them purchase or plant flats of specific things for us and just benefit the fair by using our money to plant the baskets with their flowers, or Means trying to keep it in Columbia County.
You might check Joy Creek as well.
Where are they at?
They're right across the highway from Means.
Oh, okay. Okay.
One thing I did want to mention about them, trash cans, if we pressure wash anywhere near them, you're going to want to wrap them with plastic. That rough cut cedar, when you high pressure and the dirt sprays up against that, you'll never get it clean. I don't
Yeah.
care if it's sealed or not. The dirt gets in those little pores of the rough cut and it'll look like heck forever. So
Yeah, the nice thing about them is we can move them wherever we want. Yeah, so we could totally,
we're wrapping with heavy plastic and
Yeah.
spray like I
Put
did.
a guard, put a
Yeah.
piece of plastic or something to guard.
I think I'm just like, put it on the backside of the sidewalk, do your thing and then put it back.
Yeah, I've found out the hard way on that rough cut cedar.
But yeah, so it's slowly but surely. And then the August 26th through the 2nd, am I right on that date? Yeah, 26th through the 2nd is when all the rest of the murals are going to be going in. There's going to be like a week long, like 6 muralists that are coming.
Mural fest.
Yeah.
So far, I've got pretty good feedback, I think, from the few people I've talked to about murals in town. So
I think the ones we approved are pretty either they match the business or they match kind of what's happened. The Joy Theater is going to have like a Ring of Fire scene kind of thing. So some cool stuff.
it must have been what you're doing down here Friday night, your email back to the state.
Yeah, I was down here.
I saw your car late. I was like, isn't she going to Vegas or something?
Yeah. I was like, oh, got to do this before Vegas. Don't want to lose out. That way I would feel better if I had won it big and put in my resignation that I wasn't leaving you hanging. Better luck next time.
Better luck next time.
Counselors, any more questions? Okay, items from the mayor and counselors. King, Webb?
Yeah, I was just reminding we still a go for that crack filling project on the lake on the 27th. It's Friday, the 27th.
No,
I'd imagine we're going to shoot for about 7:30 or so.
dang it, I won't be here. I really wanted to crack seal too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
So put a picture so I can see it.
yeah.
I'm going to work with Austin, but we're going to track what you use and use that as for parks, take it out of parks instead of the street, because we paid for all of it just kind of upfront out of works.
And I think we we put money in for cracks at well.
Project.
Did anyhow. So, yeah, the Jamboree, I drive my old 57 around a little bit. I was a little nervous. I mean, there was bubble gum machines going off all over the place in this town. I parked it and walked down. One of the business owners offered me a shot off his whiskey bottle. Well, thinking COVID, but the whiskey probably would have killed it. But I was like, no, not with all these staters in town.
We'll see, it worked, didn't it?
It did. It was a deterrent, I'll tell you. I did sneak in one beer though down at the.
You're under the legal limit, Dale.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter much anymore. They just say you're impaired. So
Eat pizza on top of it. That's the key.
what is it?
Pizza with it. Then you're
Oh, pizza. Oh, well, yeah.
Just wait around like I did for a driver.
Yeah.
Cops for a drive.
Well, I thought about that, but I figured that wouldn't go over very well.
Do you have any DUI experience?
Just arresting them.
Well, then you shouldn't drive then if you don't have any experience. Right?
But, no, I think Jamboree went pretty well. Yeah, it was a little staters. It's like, are they in here like doing training? Because they were doubled up too, I noticed. But I seen a little foot patrol and.
We had no idea how many we were actually going to get.
Yeah, I knew that.
Half before, and then MRT came up and said, well, we got this many for this day and this many for that day, and a couple of supervisors were going to send them. Take them all.
Is that Medford you said?
No, that's the Oregon State Police.
What's MRT stand for?
Riot team.
Oh,
It's their riot team. They're the ones that end up in Portland.
major. Did you say major right, Gene?
I think that's what they consider that major riot team.
Something like that, yeah.
I thought they all quit, no?
Not for OSP.
No.
Oh,
OSP is different.
they're not allowed to quit.
Exactly. They can like quit with permission.
The MRT and even saying those words here kind of make me a little bit nervous because MRT was who came up here back in 2004.
Yeah.
And there was major fallout from that.
Oh, I think I remember that year. There was like 25 of them. They were on horses. They were crawling in people's windows. They were everywhere.
The chief didn't last long after that.
I remember.
Oh, so that's how you
If
were
I
nervous.
remember right, Columbia County brought their parade horses up and they were running around on them with the badges on, if I remember right.
But sheriff's office used to have
By the posse.
on the horses.
That might have been a year they had them up here.
Nowadays, our posse is more ceremonial than anything else these days. Ceremonial is search and rescue.
They were in the parade.
So were we.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we pretty much rocked the parade, so.
We ran out of candy.
We did not. Almost did. Almost did. I had like 2 handfuls left when I done. So like the last kid, I told him to stand up. I made it rain all over his head. He was like in heaven.
We were at the end and there was a lot of empty buckets.
His parents cursed at me as I walked off. So.
So how was the trip? I know it's back and forth, but did you have
Great.
any fun at all?
Lots of fun.
Good. You're all,
And no, you
Fired
will
up.
not see any reports or law enforcement things about me.
she's all ready for that 58.
I was acting under an alias. No, just kidding.
Okay, action item summary.
I think we have 2 work sessions and then she's gonna sign the IGA.
Yeah.
That was it.
Gonna amend and sign the IG.
Yeah. Well, she's gonna amend.
Oh,
Can we pick a date for the police workshop? I mean, we can do it 2 months out, but we need to just pick a,
Why don't you have the calendar?
huh?
Didn't you want to wait to schedule any more until Rick was here?
We'll tell them about it.
Okay.
We've talked about this for a year and a half now, and it just seems to keep slipping. So why don't we just pick a date in October? And
I thought we had our meeting with.
So what were the other dates they picked for the work session?
Just the one which is August 31st, Tuesday at 6:30
Okay,
for priorities.
okay,
We're waiting on the trees.
okay.
That's what we got.
October's your hunting season, so you better pick wisely.
Yeah, I'm hearing I'm going on a moose trip to Wyoming there about the first full week or 2 of October, so.
And I'm not available the first couple of weeks of October. Can you wait?
Oh, well, that's good. You saved me, chief.
How about the 25th?
Yeah.
What day of the week is that?
A Monday.
It's the only Monday without an X on it.
I'm good with it.
Does not look like I have anything on the 25th. So you're
6:30?
Yep. Give the chief something really to look forward to.
So excited.
I don't know if I want to do it.
Come and present.
Yeah, you
I can come do our presentation.
Okay. Okay, I think we're good. I'll adjourn this meeting at 8:37.
Man, you are
Don't hurt yourself.
out of that.